Okay, welcome back. Since it's an absolutely gorgeous night here and it's cool, I'm going to do some work. Now, my little plastic bracket has got to go. So, done a few measurements. There to there's 85, that's about 40 up there. As you can also probably see, the actual pin on the bracket is not straight, it's going up at an angle. So what I've done, I've cut a piece of metal, marked 85 to there, and then I'll bend the rest up, and that gives me another, I think, about 65 to play with. Yeah, 60 to play with. So I'm going to bend that into an L shape, and let's hope it works. But anyway, what I'll try first is BFI, brute force and ignorance, and that works a bit. Yes, okay. So. Now, yeah, it's done it again. It's twisted. Unbelievable. Yep. Well, anyway, let's see how square that is, shall we? Bend it a bit over, so I need to bend it a bit back. Too far. The joys of metalwork, eh? There we go. Nice little bent bit. Now, just test it that. Yes, it's roughly what I want. Okay. Back in a sec. Okay guys, here we go. Got my metal right angle there, got a strip there, got the bend there. That gap I've measured is 19mm all the way up, which is close enough. There's my pin, that'll go across there, so there's enough movement for the spring action to happen and enough in and out movement. So what I'm going to do, instead of relying on that gap, I'm going to put a bit of wood in there, put it in, clamp it in, and then when I weld that, when I come back to it and drill through that, I'll have that same bit of wood in there, so they'll support each other. So let me go and do that, and then I'll do the welding, and I'm not about to weld and post it online because I don't want to, one, burn out my camera, and two, burn out your eyes. So I'll get back to you. Bye. Okay, so the magic metal joining machine has done its brilliance. Yes, a welder I'm not, I know. And there's a little bit of wood I was using as a spacer, which is I've just drilled through. So now, thing is, not big enough. But I haven't got a lot of metal there either side, and boy, that metal's hot. So what I'm thinking of doing is replacing this with maybe just something like a normal bolt and spring. Not this one, of course, because it's far too small, but you get the idea. So put it through like that, have the spring loaded under there, and have a lock on the back here so it can't go out, and do something like that. But I'll have to find a proper bolt. So I'll get on with that, get back to you. Bye. Right guys, as you can probably tell, it is daylight because last night things went a bit silly and I broke the weld, but there is a completed little piece. Yeah, I know I'm a welder. I'm not a welder. It's shocking, but it will do as far as I'm concerned. I'll get a file onto that and do some more. But we've got a bolt there, got the spring there, pushing on the bolt head, which is going to go into the magazine, and we've just extended the bolt, and that little knob there is off my drill press. Thread fits perfectly, so I'm going to have to go and see if I can get one of those from the place where I bought the drill press, and it gives me about 11-12mm of travel, which will be more than adequate. So I'll just quickly attach that, and then I'll get back to you. Bye. That's right, because one goes there. Where did the other one go? Cool. course all these screws will be cut short when I disassemble the thing for the assembly. And where's my little knob gone? Of course, I've dropped it. I'm very good at this sort of thing, dropping important pieces. It's completely vanished. So I'm really thrilled about that, and I'll get back to you. That. So it does fit. So all I've got to do now is cut a corresponding void in the magazine somewhere for it to sit in. And since it, what I'm going to try and do is find a piece of, perfect. That's exactly what I need. Something like that, yeah. So if I just cut that short, drill a hole in the base of the magazine and whack it in, and I could even smooth down the corners of that so it goes right inside that, or alternately attach a nipple or something to the end of that. That's a very possible idea, so I'll have to look into that. But I always plan things in stages, and that was my stage for today, and that's done, which is great. It will hold the magazine when I get the corresponding hole in there somehow. I could knock one in there very quickly, but what I really want to do is do the plasticine mould and the base that this is on, so it's in the right place before I start drilling into the holes in that, because I've drilled quite a few, as you can see, all different places. That's a hole, that's a hole, that's a hole, that's a very big hole. But so that's next time, and it'll probably be after New Year when the shops are back open and I can get this silicone. So talk to you again soon, guys. Bye. Okay guys, I'm back. Christmas break is over, I've got time to do things. You may have watched the news and seen Australia is basically on fire. I've been doing fire breaks for the last 10 days, so this is a nice change. Now, what I'm going to do, I've got my, finally got my pinky seal from the supplier, so I'm quite happy about that. If you're in Perth, Western Australia, that's from any Ride Art, or if you can get over Aussie Park, Kirkside Products has it a bit cheaper. Now, what I'm going to do, you can probably see a little line here. I've marked out basically a square area where I'm going to put the plasticine shape. I've attached my latch, I've left the spring off so it doesn't get in the way, I just need that as a reference. Right guys, now, what I've done, I've put a little bit of olive oil, just a drop on my fingers on the body of the gun, in the area where I'm pushing the plasticine down. Then I've laid over some cling film, and now I've put a basic shape, just rough formed. Now what I'm going to do is press the magazine down into that at the angle I want, making sure I get it level with where I want it. Now the back of the magazine is quite high, which is good. That gives me some wiggle room to press it down. It's still high, it's still high. That's pretty good. It's level with, it's pushing this up and it's level with the body of the gun, so I'm quite happy with that. So now the trick is to get it off without damaging the plasticine. There we go. So there's my mount. It's got the little ridge in there that's going to catch on this little ridge here. Hope you can see all this. And that's come up as I've moved it, but that's not a great problem. So what I'm going to do now, just spend some time just making this look a little bit more mechanical and a little less organic, like a lump of plasticine. Having looked at a lot of pictures of real guns, if it's not functional, it's not there. So that will be fine to remain smooth. I'm just going to clean off this edge, make it nice and sharp, clean off the base, make it nice and sharp, and probably put a couple of holes straight through that, or an indentation, so I can drill later to put the screws in to actually hold that to the body. So I'll finish that off and get back to you. Right guys, we're back now. there you can see a very rough shape. It's very uneven on the surface. Got the sides relatively flat, but that's not an issue. What an issue is this smooth surface. So the way I'm going to fix that is, let me just zoom in a bit, hopefully. Okay. There we go. Now what I've done, I've rolled out a very thin piece of plasticine. Just fits over that. Now what I'm going to do is position the magazine and push it down. I'll leave the camera running. You won't be able to see much. But sort of, I know where it needs to go, so I'll just push it down and make a good seal. Because what I want is that surface that sticks out at the side to look smooth, like a mounting point or a lump of metal. That surface that mates onto the magazine and the surface that mates onto the gun are the only ones I need to worry about being perfect at this stage. Because even if the rest comes out a little bit rough from the mould, I can just put it on the bench sander and just clean it up very quickly. Right, so that's sat on there very nice. So I'm going to take that off. And now I've got, oh look at that, it even took a little line from the Nerf thing. So what I'm going to do is go around with my Stanley knife, my craft knife, and that's another little trick I suppose I should tell you. You're working with plasticine, which is basically clay, so you can cut it with anything. But if you cut it with a sharp knife, you get a nice sharp line. Just cut that along there. There we go. So, as you can see, we're getting rough bits around the edge, but as I said, I can clean them up later. I'm sort of working across the camera here. Sorry about that. Can't see what I'm doing. But there you have it. That's my base that holds the magazine in place. Now because it's so hot here, this plasticine is really, really soft. A little trick you can do is just put it in the freezer for a little while to harden up. But you want it soft to work it, so, you know, a bit of a rock and a hard place sort of thing. Just smoothing that down so I can blend it in a bit better. Another thing you can do, got a few blemishes in the surface here, just smoothing some plasticine into them. Yeah, to fix this to the gun, of course I'm going to have screws going through it. So what I'm going to do is I'll just use the end of the craft knife to make an indentation where one of the screws will go. And that will be translated through the casting process, and it'll be there when I produce a finished piece. And it just looks a little bit more like it's a manufactured part. Now up here I'm going to have to put one about there. Now I'm turning it but lifting at the same time because I don't want plasticine to stick to the bottom of the knife. You see, I've just made a little mark there, but I'm not going to worry about it at this stage. When this gets a bit cooler, I'll be able to work it a bit more. And we've got a little, instead of trying to build it up and ruin the work I've done, I'll just trim it off, make it look like part of it the way it was designed. As you can see, little specks of pink in there, like that one, that's pinky silk. So it doesn't stick to your plasticine, it just gets all through it. Well, I've made a need to take another chunk out of there. There we go, that's a bit better. Right, so I'll continue just refining this, smoothing it out like just rubbing your thumb along just to give it a like a rounded worked metal edge when you actually do the casting. And I'll get back to you when I'm going to do the casting. Okay, all right.